In a surprising turn of events, Niger's recent decision to sever diplomatic ties with Ukraine has catapulted the geopolitics of West Africa into the global spotlight. While others are surprised with the outcome, some others are praising Niger for backing its neighbor and ally. Why did Niger cut ties with Ukraine? And what is going to be the outcome of this move? Never mind, because we are going to be answering these questions in today's video. But before we do so, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you never miss out when a video is uploaded. Niger declared on Tuesday that it will immediately end diplomatic ties with Ukraine due to Kiev's purported backing of terrorist groups in Mali. The move came days after Mali severed relations with Ukraine over the same accusation. Colonel Amadou Abdrahman, the spokesperson for Niger's government, declared in a statement broadcast on national television that the issue would be brought before the UN Security Council on the grounds of Ukrainian aggression. The diplomatic move follows a defeat of the Malian armed forces during clashes with separatist rebels at the end of July. Mali later declared that it was severing diplomatic ties with Ukraine following the acknowledgement of Ukrainian involvement in a recent deadly terrorist incident in the West African nation. The Russian-affiliated Wagner group, which is assisting the Malian army, reported Russian losses and the death of a commander following an intense battle in Tinzouaten, the north of the country. Meanwhile, the Malian army acknowledged that it had suffered a significant death toll from the conflict. Mali said it considered support for Ukraine as support for international terrorism and an aggression that is part of the broader pattern of certain actors who actively support and instrumentalize terrorist groups in the region. Andriy Yusov, a spokesman for Ukrainian military intelligence, said last week that the rebels had been given the necessary information to conduct the attacks. A top Malian official, Colonel Abdoulaye Mega, said his government was shocked to hear the claim and accused Ukraine of violating Mali's sovereignty. The Tuareg rebels and fighters from Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin, an al-Qaeda branch, are said to be the ones who ambushed Malian and Russian forces as they were waiting for reinforcements after retreating from Tinzouaten. The precise number of casualties among Wagner militants is reported to be between 20 and 80, but neither the Mali military nor Wagner, which has now changed its name to the Afrika Korps, have disclosed this information. The losses incurred by the Russian mercenary group in Mali are believed to be the most since it started assisting the military government in suppressing the rebels 2 years ago. Wagner said about 1,000 fighters had attacked them, and they acknowledged that one of their leaders was terminated and a Russian helicopter was shot down in fierce fighting. Separatists commanded by Tuaregs declared last week that they had slain 47 soldiers from Mali and 84 Wagner mercenaries. Over 10 years ago, the Tuaregs' aspiration for their own state led to a rebellion that cost the central government of Mali much of the north. Then, the conflict's involvement by Islamist extremists further impacted the nation's security. In 2020 and 2021, the military used the government's failure to address this turmoil as justification for taking over in coups. The new military leaders severed Mali's long-running alliance with former colonial power France in favor of Russia in a bid to quell the unrest. Ukraine has been trying to win allies in Africa throughout its war with Russia, likely in an attempt to counter Moscow's growing influence on the continent. Mali and Niger are refusing to accept this betrayal. Mali's neighbor Senegal also rebuked Ukraine. Senegal's foreign ministry called Yuriy Pivavarov the ambassador of Ukraine and accused him of endorsing the attack in Mali in July in a video that was later removed from the Ukrainian embassy's Facebook page. The Foreign Ministry of Ukraine has not yet addressed the decision by Niger to break diplomatic ties. However, it called Mali's decision short-sighted and hasty, and said Ukraine unconditionally complies with international law and accused Russian-controlled outfits of numerous war crimes in African countries. On Wednesday, Russia commented on the situation and charged that Ukraine was establishing a second front in Africa. Note that Dmytro Kuleba, the foreign minister of Ukraine, is currently traveling to Malawi, Zambia, and Mauritius on his fourth trip to Africa in the past 2 years. It is now difficult to predict if additional West African nations will sever connections with Ukraine in the same way as Niger and Mali. Many will be waiting to see the reaction of Burkina Faso, which formed a bloc with Niger and Mali earlier this year and is also ruled by the military. We should note that West Africa is not the only region to be impacted by the Ukraine-Russia war. Wagner is alleged to be supporting the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces in Sudan, where they have been engaged in combat with the Sudanese army for over a year. In the meantime, videos that have gone viral purportedly depict Ukrainian special forces attacking the RSF and Wagner fighters in Sudan with drone strikes and other forms of military assault. More than 70 mourners gathered in Moscow to honor the Wagner warriors slain in July's attack, as the war between Russia and Ukraine raged on in Africa. At a memorial on Sunday, several participants lighted candles, and red carnations were placed beneath photos of the combatants who had lost their lives. Niger has moved closer to Mali and possibly other recently coup-affected West African countries by severing its connections with Ukraine. In addition, Niger's recent admission of Russian military trainers to bolster its air defenses suggests a trend away from Western alliances and toward Russia. The severing of ties with Ukraine could further isolate Niger from Western nations and potentially increase its reliance on Russia for security and military support. Severing ties strengthens Russia's position in the region, particularly if other African nations follow suit. The presence of Russian Wagner mercenaries in Mali and Niger suggests a deepening of military involvement in the region. Mali and Niger's choices to break diplomatic ties with Ukraine have shown that the country has encountered opposition to its ambitions to forge closer relationships with African countries. Although Ukraine has refuted claims that it is arming rebels in Mali, the harm to its diplomatic standing in the area might be substantial. The severing of ties by Niger and Mali is a push factor that may deter other African countries from forging closer ties with Ukraine. This decision also definitely aligns Mali more closely with Russia, which has been providing support to the military leaders in Mali. Stepping away from all this, Niger's military government has also revoked the operating license of French nuclear fuel producer Orano at one of the world's biggest uranium mines, as it continues to cut ties with former colonial power France. The Imararan mine in northern Niger, which contains an estimated 200,000 tons of the metal used for nuclear power and weapons, was closed according to a statement released by state-owned Orano last month. The Nigerian Ministry of Mining had warned it would revoke Orano's license if the development of the mine had not started by June 19. Orano insisted in a statement that it had recently resumed activities at the site, reopening infrastructures to accommodate construction teams, its work in line with the wishes of the government. At Imararan, mining was scheduled to begin in 2015, but progress was halted following the collapse of uranium prices globally following the 2011 Japanese tragedy, which involved a tsunami striking the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant in the northeast of the nation. The decision by the Nigerian authorities to cancel Orano's license might have broader geopolitical ramifications. Following the coup of last year, ties between Niger and its previous colonial ruler nosedived. The Nigerian government ordered the French ambassador to leave. This was followed by the eviction of several hundreds of French soldiers based in Niger and the shutting down of all French bases. The government, which has increasingly turned to Russia and Iran for support, pledged to review foreign mining concessions in the country after it took power in July last year. Russian companies have indicated interest in the uranium mining site in Imararan, and there has also been a flurry of activities between Russian businesses and Russian mercenaries in Niger, which could point to the direction where this new license may be headed to. Since 1971, Orano has been a part of Niger. Despite what it refers to as logistical challenges, Orano continues to operate a uranium mine in the northern Arlit region, despite the closure of the Arkaken mine in 2021. Approximately 25% of the natural uranium supplied to Europe comes from Niger, a landlocked country whose main sea route is blocked by a closed border with Benin. This makes it difficult to export its minerals. This is for security reasons, according to the administration. Orano said it was prepared to keep open all channels of communication with the Niger authorities on this subject, while reserving the right to contest the decision to withdraw the mining license in the national or international courts. The government of Niger refrained from commenting on this. We can see that these past months have been difficult for the people of Niger. However, Abderrahmane Chiani knows what he wants for his country and is striving to get there. Do you believe Niger was right in cutting ties with Ukraine? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to the New Tourist channel. Turn on notifications too so you get notified whenever we have more videos for you. Thanks for watching and see you in our next video.